The news from Guyana, the region and the world. Compiled in the News Talk Radio newsroom and powered by DemeraraWaves.com.
The news comes to you with the compliments of Eureka Medical Laboratories. With the news at this time, I am Tiana Jordan. A very good morning to you. First, the lead stories. City Mayor Ubraj Narain is on the investigation for discharging his firearm. Republic Bank workers in Guyana are now being represented by a union. 2 Guyanese were rescued after the fuel tanker they were working on sank off the coast of the Bahamas. And in regional news, Barbadians will vote in general elections next month. And internationally, we'll bring you the latest from the BBC World Service.
A COVID-19 PCR test is now mandatory for many routine activities, including travel and return to work purposes. At Eureka, our trained and experienced staff will ensure confidentiality while your test is conducted in a professional and timely manner, with results in just 48 hours. So the next time you require an efficient and hassle-free PCR COVID-19 test, call 624-8378, 608-8378, or 623-7233 to schedule your appointment. You can also ask about our house call testing service.
And now the news in detail. Georgetown Mayor Ubraj Narain was Monday allegedly involved in a shooting incident, and he was released from police custody on $20,000 bail. The spokesman says Mr. Narain's hands were swabbed for gunpowder residue and his firearm lodged as part of the probe that he allegedly discharged his weapon. The alleged incident occurred on the east coast of Demerara. The circumstances surrounding the incident were not immediately known, and the Guyana Police Force spokesman, Mark Ramatar, had no details. Non-management workers of Republic Bank Guyana Limited are now being represented by the Guyana Civil Servants and General Workers Union, GCSGWU. Union President Gregory Gasper says the 2 sides are due to sign a collective labor agreement next year. He says the Trade Union Recognition and Certification Board earlier this month issued his workers' organization with its certificate after a poll was conducted. Mr. Gasper says no other union competed to represent the workers. Of the almost 600 workers, he said about 300 of Republic Bank's non-management workers voted for the GCSGW, marking the first time that banking workers have been unionized in Guyana. A number of workers, according to the union president, approached his organization to represent them in September, and so a poll was taken. Mr. Gasper says the GCSGW will eventually be reaching out to the union in Trinidad that represents Republic Bank workers in that headquarters country. A fireman who is based at the New Amsterdam fire station was Monday still in police custody as an investigation continued into his alleged rape of an 18-year-old woman. Police say that she has since recanted her story, saying that she gave permission for sexual intercourse. Region 6 East Berbice Quarantine Divisional Commander Jairam Ramlakan said sexual offense investigators, the woman and the fireman, who is 24 years old, visited the scene on Sunday at 5:30 p.m. and the woman said the fireman did not rape her. The Guyana Police Force says the woman also denies that the fireman injured her with a screwdriver. Investigators were told that the fireman met the woman on Christmas Eve night. They drank several beers and then he took her to the New Amsterdam fire station where they had sexual intercourse. Police say when the woman returned home Christmas Day and was questioned by her mother, She leveled the allegations against the fireman, and the report was made to police. The file will be sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions for advice. 2 Guyanese evacuated a now sunken fuel tanker off the Bahamas on Friday night after it was struck by a 207-foot-long superyacht. An official of Marine Tanker Services named the 2 Guyanese as Chief Engineer Colin Ward and Joshua Campbell. The official said the motor tanker Tropic Breeze was hit and sank, but fortunately, all crew members executed evacuation drills within the prescribed limits and were rescued. Eyewitness News reported that the 160-foot-long tanker sank 15 miles northwest of New Providence. Maritime Management LLC reported that a ship under its management, the MT Tropic Breeze, was struck at 10:03 p.m. by the superyacht MY Utopia IV. Eyewitness News said the tanker was traveling on its proper watch en route to Great Stirrup Cay when the collision occurred, and the stern of the vessel was pierced, causing it to sink to the ocean floor at an estimated depth of 2,000 feet. The tanker cannot be safely salvaged, according to officials. The ship's cargo reportedly included liquid propane gas, LPG, marine gas, and automotive gas. The report states that Maritime Management advised that the relevant Bahamian authorities have been notified. They will work with all stakeholders to ensure best outcomes with minimal environmental impact. The Ministry of Health says 2 males, 1 unvaccinated and the other unknown, are the latest persons to die from COVID-19. The death toll is now 1,050. The ministry's data shows 12 new cases of COVID were recorded in the last 24 hours, 6 seriously sickened in the COVID ICU, while 34 others are being treated in hospitals. The ministry says there are 682 persons who tested positive and are instructed to isolate themselves at home. As of Christmas Eve, the official records show Guyana administered 410,076 first-dose COVID vaccines to adults and 293,260 adults are fully vaccinated. There are 30,198 children ages 12 to 17 years old partially vaccinated and 21,503 fully vaccinated as of Christmas Eve. And now in regional news. Barbadians are going to the polls in just over 3 weeks to elect a new government. Parliament was dissolved last night with immediate effect. The surprise announcement was made last evening by Prime Minister Mia Mottley in a national address from Yarrow Court.
I have advised Her Excellency to set the 3rd of January 2022 as a nomination day in Barbados. Fellow citizens and long-standing residents, the date on which you shall go to the polls and elect your next government and your next leader to lead this country through Omicron, to lead this country through the difficult times that we are still managing, through COVID and back to social and economic harmony and prosperity, to lead this country to be in world class, is January the 19th, 2022.
General elections were constitutionally due to be held in 2023. Ms. Mottley led the Barbados Labour Party, BLP, to a historic 30-0 whitewash of the Democratic Labour Party, DLP, in the May 2018 general elections. It will be the first general election since Barbados became a republic on November 30th. The Haitian Burge Alliance, HBA, has filed a class action lawsuit against the Biden administration alleging the abuse of asylum-seeking Haitians. The HBA says the rights of the Haitians had been violated when they were removed from a makeshift camp in Texas in October. The HBA is also claiming that the Department of Homeland Security violated the rights of thousands of Haitian asylum seekers after they fled the French-speaking Caribbean country because of the danger and insecurity there. According to the HBA, the Haitians on arrival in the U.S. joined at least 15,000 Haitian asylum seekers in a makeshift U.S. Customs and Border Protection encampment in Del Rio, Texas, but that they suffered from hunger and dehydration due to encampment conditions. The asylum seekers said that they sweltered in triple-digit temperatures by day and slept on the ground at night. The complaint, filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, included a statement from one of the plaintiffs, Merard Joseph, who said he was lashed at by a Border Patrol agent on horseback. In Trinidad, 2 men are dead and another is wounded after they were shot several times in a drive-by shooting on Christmas Day. The 2 deceased have been identified as 28-year-old Shaquem Francis and 27-year-old Shaka Guy. The third man, a 34-year-old man, is still in a serious condition. Police said at about 4 p.m. on December 24th, they were all in a black Nissan Almera on Independence Square when a silver car drove past them and several gunshots were fired. The driver of the car managed to drive to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where Francis and Guy were declared dead. The murder toll now stands at 442 for the year. And for the international news, the latest bulletin from the BBC World Service.
BBC News. Hello, I'm Tom Watt. China has accused the United States of putting astronauts in danger by ignoring obligations under treaties on outer space. The Foreign Ministry statement came several weeks after China complained to the UN that its space station twice had to take action to avoid collisions with satellites launched by the American company SpaceX. A Foreign Ministry spokesman, Zhao Lijian, urged Washington to act responsibly.
The United States should respect the international system for outer space, based on international law, and take immediate measures to prevent such incidents from happening again. They should adopt a responsible attitude to protect the lives and safety of astronauts in orbit, and to ensure the safety and stability of operations for facilities in outer space.
Prosecutors in Hong Kong have filed a charge against the media tycoon Jimmy Lai of publishing seditious material. Mr. Lai, who is already serving a jail sentence after being found guilty of unauthorised assembly, appeared in court alongside 6 former colleagues from his pro-democracy Apple Daily newspaper, which was closed 6 months ago. Here's Martin Yip.
These 7 people, including Jimmy Lai, were actually returning to court for the existing charges of collusion with foreign forces. That's under the new national security law imposed by Beijing. But then prosecutors proposed the new charges of conspiracy to publish seditious publications. This charge, if found guilty, would bring each defendant 2 years of imprisonment plus a fine. But obviously with the national security charges, this is a smaller problem, because if they would be found guilty for the national security charges, they could face life imprisonment.
Declassified state papers in the Irish Republic from the early stages of the Northern Ireland peace process have revealed that the former British Prime Minister, John Major, admitted privately that he did not believe the IRA could be beaten militarily. The details are revealed in a record of a conversation between him and the then Irish Taoiseach, Albert Reynolds. From Belfast, Chris Page reports.
The meeting at Downing Street in 1992 happened as political parties in Belfast were holding talks. The then Taoiseach Albert Reynolds was making the case that the IRA's political wing, Sinn Féin, should be brought into future negotiations. Mr Reynolds asked his British counterpart if he believed the IRA could be defeated. John Major replied, militarily, that would be very difficult. The exchange shows the growing sense in London and Dublin that the only way the conflict in Northern Ireland would be ended was through a negotiated settlement involving paramilitaries. That eventually happened with the Good Friday Agreement 6 years later.
World News from the BBC. The US health authorities have halved the recommended isolation period for people who test positive for COVID-19 but don't exhibit symptoms as they seek to balance disease prevention and keeping the economy open. The Centers for Disease Control now says that infected but asymptomatic people should stay at home for 5 days and wear a mask around others for a further 5. Pakistan has summoned India's most senior diplomat in Islamabad to express its concerns over incidents of hate speech against minorities by Hindu fundamentalists. A foreign ministry statement said Islamabad was dismayed that Delhi had not condemned the speeches or taken action against the far-right groups. A lone gunman has killed 4 people in the American city of Denver in a 2-hour shooting spree across several locations. Police say they exchanged fire with the man, who was then shot dead. At least 2 people were wounded, including a police officer. Reports from Syria say government air defences have confronted Israeli fighter jets attacking the port of Latakia. The report said Israeli warplanes fired missiles at the port's container yard, causing a large fire to break out. British medical researchers have warned that teenagers whose parents smoke are 4 times as likely to take up the habit compared with those who live in smoke-free households. The research is part of a government campaign to encourage people to quit. Tim Muffett reports.
Despite the known links between smoking and poor health, data from the Office for National Statistics shows that 1 in 8 adults in England still smoke. The pandemic hasn't helped, with high rates of quitting, but also high levels of relapse and signs of a rise in smoking among younger adults. New analysis by researchers at Imperial College London shows that teenagers whose parents or caregivers smoke are 4 times as likely to have taken up the habit.
BBC News.
The news came to you with the compliments of Eureka Medical Laboratories.
Don't let the fear of contracting the coronavirus disease deter you from seeking the medical care you need. At Eureka Labs, we ensure the safety of our clients and staff with our rigid sanitization routine. This involves the use of ultraviolet lights to effectively rid the air and all surfaces of viruses and bacteria that may be present throughout the lab daily. The light works to rapidly inactivate microorganisms through a physical process that is invisible to human eye. So the next time you need a checkup, don't hesitate to give us a call on 225-7574 to schedule your appointment.
To end the news, here is a recap of the leads. City Mayor Ubraj Narain is under investigation for discharging his firearm. Republic Bank workers in Guyana are now being represented by a union. 2 Guyanese were rescued after the fuel tanker they were working on sank off the coast of the Bahamas. And in regional news, Barbadians will vote in general elections next month. And that's the end of the news.
This has been the news, compiled in the News Talk Radio Newsroom. For ongoing updates, visit demerarawaves.com, and you can check facebook.com/demwaves and twitter.com/demwaves.